Good evening, everybody. Look at the clock. Look at your watches. Believe it or not, we're on at 7:32. I know the last time we posted a live event, we showed up a little late, caught a little flack for it. But guys, we're on time. Ben, we used to have a coach that said, if you're on time, you're late.
Oh
But
yeah,
but then I was in a fraternity when I was in college. That it was like if you're 15 minutes late, you're still kind of on time. We're in the middle. We're right on time. We're right on time. We're here
well,
7:32. How are you doing, Ben?
good. 2 minutes, fashionably late. You know what I mean? Not making the people wait like a little Wayne concert or Lauryn Hill concert. 2 minutes. Just got done playing 18 holes, rolling probably the worst 18-hole round of my life, to be honest with you.
Really?
Yeah. But glad to be here. Glad to be doing a live podcast, man. I know we got some stuff to recap and some stuff to preview, so I'm with it.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Well, let's just get straight to it because the game is about to start. This is kind of a Eastern Conference Finals preview, but we're just going to go ahead and make it a watch along here with the first quarter as they are about to tip off. The Heat have a 3-1 lead over the Celtics, but as you know, they are playing Game 5 in Boston, so Boston's trying to send it back to Miami. But we already have one series that's concluded. We already have one conference finals, a team that's been crowned, and that's none other than the Denver Nuggets, who swept LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and the Lakers. Ben, did you see this coming? We all knew they were the deeper team, but the Lakers had made a pretty good run up until that point, so we thought it was going to be a closer series. Are you surprised with the sweep?
Definitely wasn't surprised. I mean, obviously, I'm a Laker hater, but I mean, they were finally running into a team that was supposed to be where they were supposed to be, right? The overall number one seed, the Denver Nuggets. And listen, did I expect the sweep? No, I didn't expect the sweep. But man, really not that competitive as of a series. I know some games came down to the last shot, but I mean, for the most part, like I said it jokingly when we previewed the podcast, but I said, what chance do the Lakers have? They're going to need the Joker to get hurt. And I mean, the dude averaged a triple double for the series, did not get hurt. I mean, as good as Anthony Davis had been all playoffs, the Joker was able to work him out. As hoop heads would say, he worked him out. So, not surprised with the outcome as far as the Nuggets winning. A little bit surprised with the sweep, yes, because I mean, I know LeBron's been swept in the past, but the Lakers, they were playing pretty good playoff basketball. To not win any games.
Yeah, I was surprised. They had a chance there. They had that comeback in game one, and then I think they blew it in game two, if I'm not mistaken. And then the rest of the series was kind of just all the Nuggets. I'm a little surprised myself with the sweep, but like you said, Ben, the Nuggets, they were supposed to be there. They were probably the favorites in the West going into the playoffs to represent the West and be the representative, which they've been in that position before. We all know they've had their blunders in the playoffs, and part of that is their depth. Usually in the playoffs, you lose the depth, you go to like a 7-man rotation. But if you're able to, still play good and you're able to keep on playing these guys you're playing in the regular season, plus you're getting all-time games from Jokic and Murray, it's a tough recipe to beat. So
Let's talk about Murray a little bit, Roland. Here, I mean, did we see him kind of take the next step and solidify himself as a legit number two? I know that there's years past, aside from the bubble where it was kind of his coming out party, he's kind of gone missing several games. This Lakers series, I mean, even the game where he had a really bad game, through three quarters, and then in the fourth quarter he ends up having 16 points. So he kind of looked like he did take that step up, and cementing the Denver Nuggets as going forward, it looks like the team to beat in the Western Conference.
yeah, for me, we've seen the glimpses of Murray. We saw what he did in the bubble with some of those explosions that he had here in the playoffs. I do too think he's taken that next step. I think he's been there. It's just the injury. The injury set him back a long time. It's been a little longer than a year. So once he is able to put that fully behind him, and if he can play like this, he's a tier 1 shot maker. He's a guy that has every trick in the bag when it comes to the handle. He can knock any kind of shot down. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Kyrie Irving and the way that he gets his shot off. He hits a lot of little fadeaways. He'll back you down. He gets those tough layups off, and he's a good enough 3-point shooter to make you respect him out there, and if not better some nights when he's really feeling it. So yeah, I'm all about Jamal Murray taking this next step forward. I love his game. It's just all if he's truly back from his injury, then I for sure agree with your point there.
Yeah, it was nice to see, man.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Good to see a guy come back from injury and reestablish himself where he once was, and maybe even take a step further beyond that. But the Lakers are the other side of the coin here. They got swept. They're the ones with the zero by their name. They're the ones that weren't able to get it done. And with that said, they're the ones that have offseason questions. LeBron James was a little dismissive when asked if he's, committing to next season. Kind of said that he's got to think about it a little bit, not ready to answer that question. Ben, you follow LeBron his whole career, much like most of us here. What do you think about this comment by LeBron? He's a master, chess player when it comes to being a La GM. He's always trying to make a move out there. Do you think this is his last move as in leverage, trying to make a move here?
I do, but I mean, throughout the finals, he balled out the last game. 31 points in the first half. The only reason that they were winning, obviously, didn't have the same second half, but it's because honestly, you could see how tired he was, man. I mean, like, listen, LeBron is still balling, but his age is 100% showing at this point. Like there's plays where he's gasping for air, hands on his knees, or maybe he might smoke a layup and he'll just stay on that side of the court while the team runs in transition. So yes, led GM definitely. I might retire. This might be it. Also a way kind of just to get the narrative away from being swept. Oh my God, big news! LeBron James might retire. That's a good way to kind of try and sweep under the rug. But honestly, I agree with you. Might just be a ploy to get some players. I love the picture that Ron chose right here. LeBron looks befuddled, fam. Like he looks like what? What did you just say? What did I just watch? I mean, he's even got his hands touching his eyebrow.
Yeah.
That's an awesome picture. So he's definitely pondering his next move. I do think that he said that he's going to stick around until Bronny comes into the NBA. We know that he's set to go to USC next year, and then he'll be in the draft soon after that. So, no, LeBron isn't going to retire. I do think that he was trying to, get ahead and create his own narrative, shift the narrative from the sweep. But I mean, they are valid thoughts because, like I said, still balling, but you could definitely see that his age is kicking in, and you're able to see that on the TV, man. So.
And so, Ben, I also got to ask you, before I kind of give my little take here, because I'm interested in your thoughts here, because this is always what comes up when you talk about it, when you talk about whether LeBron wins in the playoffs or whether he loses. The question is always, I'm not going to go the MJ route, but I'm just going to ask, does this do anything to you for his legacy? Or are you also just looking at, hey, this guy's 38. This guy's played more basketball than anybody pretty much has ever played, and at a consistently high level. And, he just met his match in a 1 seed, and, he doesn't have reliable other pieces to carry him at this stage in his career. Or do you think this is a ding in his legacy?
I wouldn't say that it's a ding. I mean, and especially if people aren't going to ding Giannis and buy that whole, this is not failure shit. Well, this guy got to the Western Conference Finals, from a 7 seed, 6 seed.
True, as a 7 seed. Yep.
Yeah. So no, I don't think that it's a ding. I mean, I think that they were playing over their heads, and they got some breaks. They got I don't want to take away from their run, but that Grizzlies team. They weren't really all there with the jaw suspension prior, and then Adams being out, Clark being out, jaw getting injured. Regardless, they handled them, and most people did think that the Lakers were going to handle the Grizzlies. Second round, they got that kind of older Warriors team we saw go to the brink with the baby Kings and go 7 games. And LeBron, I don't want to say he's like in the same position as Curry because Curry really, needed some help this playoffs. They had a lot of guys that just kind of no-showed for him. But the Warriors do need Curry to be the best player on the team if they're going to succeed. And the Lakers are just at the point where AD's got to be their best player. I know that, we sound like broken records reiterating this AD, this AD scenario or narrative about the Lakers go as far as AD takes them. But, I mean, he's 38 years old, bro. 38 years old, 40 points, 11 rebounds, 9 assists in a closeout game. I mean, I'm definitely not going to ding him. I do think that, obviously some of the antics this playoffs with the whole flopping thing and him saying that he's not a flopper. This guy knows
flopper team.
He knows how to play the NBA game, bro. But I think that we're finally seeing Father Time catch up. So I'm not going to ding him because he was still the best player on the Lakers, I would say, for the most
For
part of that
sure, for
series.
sure.
So yeah, I mean, unfortunate, but yeah, that Lakers team, they got some moves that they got to figure out this offseason.
For sure. I agree. I do think this is him being a little bit of a GM here, trying to posture a little bit to try and get the Lakers to make another move, which, you kind of got to give them credit to even have gotten them to this point. And I'm talking about the management and some of the moves that they made over the course of the season. I mean, they brought over Rui Hachimura. They brought over who ended up, he had some pretty good games for them in the playoffs, including the Denver series. And they blew a big Rui Hachimura game when they couldn't come through with the dub.
But then there's that other move, Roland, which was
They
D'Angelo
brought over
Russell.
D'Angelo Russell, who was good for a little bit, but then, as we all know, he just crapped out in the playoffs and just proved that he's not of that echelon, in my opinion. And that's because I always used to think highly of D'Angelo Russell. I like his game. But there's just some guys who are built for the playoffs and some guys who aren't. And he looked befuddled a lot, going to use your word.
Yeah, and that was the big move for them, at the deadline. They didn't end up getting Kyrie, so they brought over another point guard, and it was D'Lo. And we saw him have some games, early on in the playoffs. Yeah. But, man, he was unplayable this Denver series, bro. And the games where he didn't play well, you could see that he kind of had that case of the yips. Like, the ball just didn't feel comfortable in his hands at all. So for him being unplayable in a closeout game, I mean, yes, they did have good moves. The Vanderbilt move,
Vanderbilt too.
We all made fun of Tristan Thompson, but Tristan Thompson was even getting some run in Game 4, and having his presence felt. He had an and one. He gave Jokic that wedgie from hell. So. Rob Pelinka, I've been a guy that gave him a lot of slack, but I mean, yeah, he got him in position, right? Because they made that push after the All-Star break. So you got to tip your hat at least for that playoff push, but his work's cut out for him this offseason. I mean, you got Austin Reeves, a guy that's looking to get a major bag from from a team that could have him in there every day and afford to overpay him. The Lakers still have their sights set on possibly Kyrie Irving coming over as well. You got Rui Hachimura, who's also a free agent. D'Angelo Russell, they're probably gonna let him walk, but I mean they have a lot of moves. It's like only AD and LeBron are for sure on that roster.
And LeBron's not trying to go back to a mess either. And and just stick it. Going back to LeBron, I agree with you too on the whole father time thing. I'm not gonna say he's I agree with what he said. He actually said that I think I'm better than 90-95% of the NBA. Any given night, I think LeBron James is still a top 10, top 15 player in the NBA. But he also throws out more stinkers than he used to, like where he's just not in it the whole game. And you saw it with the 3-point shooting. I don't think he hit a 3 in the fourth quarter, like the whole series against the Nuggets. He was on that terrible streak, but he just kept on shooting. And some of that, like you said, is just father time. He can't get to the rim at will anymore. You saw him and I watched that last play of the game, and that kind of looked like a little bit of father time to me. Don't you think if it was a few years later, he would have had a little bit of juice to get off like a fadeaway or something? It looked like he had no juice there at the end of the game. Yeah. I give him credit for attacking, but he dribbled himself into a double team.
But he didn't have any juice though, Roland.
He didn't.
And you could see that prior, like in that fourth quarter, he gave it all that first half, bro. I mean, 31 points. That's the reason why they were up 9 points at halftime. And in one quarter, boom, by the end of the third quarter, the game was tied. You know what I mean? So I get it as far as the father time, but even then, bro, they had him in the play-in game against the Timberwolves playing 44 minutes. I mean, from the play-in game, you know what I mean? So the guy was going to be gassed out at that age. I'm not trying to make excuses, but I mean, it's only normal, right? We've seen Tom Brady and some other guys play into their 40s, but Tom Brady's just catching a snap and throwing it, taking a hit every now and then, but he's not running up and down the court and expected to be the best player, on this Lakers playoff team.
Yeah, it's a tough ask, especially at this juncture in his career. So hopefully the Lakers, for their sake, are able to make a move to be able to keep LeBron, because I don't think he'd walk back into a dumpster fire. And plus, you got to make consideration for the other guy who's coming into the Western Conference the Western Conference this offseason. I mean, 7'5".
Oh, I thought you meant Harden.
Nah, I'm talking about Victor Wembanyama, baby.
But hey, anyways. Roland, what do you think about the Lakers, though? Do you think that they end up keeping Austin Reeves? I think Rui Hachimura is way more attainable because he's not going to be that max type of deal. But do you think that the Lakers match somebody overpaying Austin Reeves?
I mean, it
He was
depends.
pretty critical to their team, bro.
I mean, I think we've seen this position too. I think they're going to take LeBron's advice here. If LeBron wants to keep Austin Reeves, I think they'll keep him. Just from the perspective of, like, I don't think they would overpay him, but if LeBron James really values him, maybe they'll end up doing it. I don't know how to call it with the Lakers. Person to answer your question, I wouldn't do it. If somebody wants to overpay him, give him a max or something like that, coming off the deal that he's on, have fun with that. You can go ahead and do that. But I think he's a good complementary guard who can sometimes take over the game and run the show for you. So, he's valuable, but I wouldn't overpay for him from the Lakers.
Yeah, I've given him a lot of shit, but he's a pretty high
He's
IQ
good.
basketball player.
Yeah, he's good.
He's high IQ, bro.
Yeah.
Like you know what I mean? For him to be in there
And he's
in the final minutes of the games, and we're talking about guys like a vet like D'Angelo Russell, a guy who's been on max contracts, not being playable. We've seen him hit the open threes when he's open. He's arguably their best 3-point shooter on that team as well. So, and
which is not supposed to be the case. They need better 3-point shooting.
Right, and I mean, it also, like, he's pretty good, but it doesn't say much because they're a horrible 3-point shooting team, right? But Roland, they need some young stuff to rely on going forward.
Yeah,
let's be honest. They have a year or two left of LeBron, so maybe they overpay Austin Reeves, and he's kind of their building block or part of their core going forward, as far as maybe being their point guard. Or
Trae Young has been in the news.
Yeah, Kyrie Irving, Trae Young. We've heard names, but the Lakers do need to set themselves up for life after LeBron, because
for sure,
we're inching closer and closer to it.
Or, what if they strike out and their best option is, hey, LeBron, you want to do a sign and trade? I mean, there's something like that too. I don't know. I don't think they'll completely strike out like that because it's still LA. You're still playing with LeBron. You saw what he did with this group, took him to the Western Conference Finals, with some big games from AD in there. But yeah, a lot of moves for the Lakers to make. I don't think they should overpay Austin Reeves, but we'll see what happens. I mean, I think they just got to bring another star because you're playing with LeBron James. There's only 2 years left. You can't get cute here. You gotta go for a home run. I mean, Damian Lillard's still out there. Who knows what happens? Let's go on to a game that's about to be over, and it's only in the first quarter. Game 5, Heat versus the Celtics. Celtics got a 1 game attached to their name to the Heat's 3-game. It's 3-1. That's what I'm trying to say. But Celtics are here trying to make it 3-2. Ben, I'm going to ask you the same question about the Lakers series. Are you surprised with how this is turning out for the Heat and the Celtics?
I'm surprised that it's 3-1. I expected it to be a series. I mean, we've kind of seen what the Celtics are in these playoffs. They're downgrade from last year, just even based off the coaching in the fourth quarter. I definitely didn't expect, for them to be down 3-0 with Miami having the closeout game at home like they did 2 days ago. And like you said, this game might, almost be over and find themselves 3-2. It's 26-11 currently. First quarter, they are back in Boston. They were favored by 8 points. Pretty surprising as far as, like I said, the 3-1. I expected it to be, a better series, maybe 2-2. We see this go 7 just because we saw the battle that these teams had last year in the conference finals when the Celtics beat them in advance. But honestly, after game 3, I really thought the Celtics were checked out, bro. When they went down 3-0 and they got demolished, lost by like 21 points. We were hearing stuff out of the locker room that Joe Mazzulla had lost the locker room. We were hearing stuff about, reporters saying these guys are tired of acting like they like each other.
Yeah.
And it is kind of some stuff that you could see on the court. There was clips of, Jason Tatum on the bench in that game 3, kind of just, in disbelief or just tired of it. So a lot of kind of, the way they came out game 4 contradicted all the noise that everybody was talking about. Because they came out in game 4, they took control, they led for most of the way, and they got it done in Miami. Here they are, game 5, early lead, double-digit lead already at home. So, I mean, this series is probably going to come down to game 6 because, that's where the Heat are going to have the best chance back at home to close them out. It's kind of similar to that Celtics and 76ers series that we saw, last round 2, where the 76ers, their chance was game 6 at home. You have them there on the brink of defeat. it's going to be the same thing for Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat with the way the game is looking tonight.
Yeah, they're looking like they're about to get run out of the gym, but the Heat, they have that resolve, so maybe they have a comeback in them here. We've seen it before, so the game not completely over, but Celtics looking like they responded. Celtics looking like Joe Mazzulla locked them in a room and told them, "Hey guys, we got to watch the town. We got to watch it together." Because that was the other thing we were hearing, was that Joe Mazzulla watches the town,
4
or what
times a
is it,
week.
4 times a week. So he probably was like, yeah, one of those 4 times that, hey, let me get the boys in here and let's watch this and let's gather together and let's rally.
You
And that's
say
what
you
we're
see
seeing
you
right
see
now.
you see the way they're running into this bank. That's the way we're going to run
That's
into
what we got to do.
Miami.
That's what we got to do. Exactly. So they might make it 3-2 tonight. I'm a little surprised. I did pick the Heat before the Heat. I did pick the Celtics before the series. I thought they were going to be able to beat the Heat. I picked against the Heat every single time in the playoffs. So my picks this NBA offseason, postseason, as far as the Eastern Conference, has been trash. But I thought the Celtics were going to be able to get it done with their 3-point shooting, their offensive creativity, but it just wasn't there the first 3 games. Like you said, they just looked out of sync. That third game completely looked checked out. I'm a little surprised to see them respond the way that they are here, looking like they're responding positively for a second consecutive game. We all know that they're like 10-11 at home in the postseason. So not the best home record in these situations. So we'll see what they got.
Let's break the fourth wall here and talk a little bit about a little series play that me and you jumped on when the Heat were up 2-0 going back to Miami. Heat were minus 170 to win the series. They win game 3, Roland. They go all the way to minus 1,100. Nearly, it's over, right? It's over. They even became favorites for the opener in game 4. First time they were favorites in this series. Celtics win game 4, and the series price goes back down to Miami Heat minus 260. If they lose today, and even Jason Tatum, MVP, winning 1 game in the series, Jason Tatum was the favorite to win MVP. So it seems like everybody's on that Celtics comeback. Roland, I know that we beat the line. It looks like we might have better odds going into next game. But what are you thinking? Do we still have some life in here, or how do you see this playing out?
We still have some life, just because I do think the Heat, their team, they're not going to get blown out at home in this game 6. Let's say they do end up losing this game. It's going to be what's it called? A knife fight or whatever. They're going to tooth, and I suck at sayings, but what I'm trying to say is they're going to go down swinging. I trust the Heat. I'm not worried about it right now. It is a little concerning because all the pressure is on the Heat at this point. The Celtics, they've already been written off pretty much. We were writing their eulogy when they were down 3-0.
Thanks.
No one's ever come back from down 3-0 and won a series. No one's ever done that. There's been 3-1 comebacks. We all know about that. But as far as 3-0, never happened before. So they've already been written off. And they're just playing with house money at this point, and you can see it. They're playing a little loose. They're looking like they're a little bit more comfortable with the ball swinging around, at least here in this first quarter here at home against the Heat. They're up 28-16 at this point. So for the Celtics, it's just, win or go home the rest of the way. What do they have to lose? They know if they lose, probably going to be some offseason moves to some of the, residual players or the complementary players, like the Derek Whites and the Robert Williams of the world. But they're playing. This is the last chance that this group has got together, probably, if they don't win an NBA title. So that's what they're playing for right now. Happy to see it, because we need a longer series. I need more basketball. You know what I mean? Like, I can't just have the series end tonight and then not have anything to look forward to until there would be no basketball Memorial Day weekend. So that's just something to think about there. But as far as the series is concerned, and to circle back to your original question, I'm not too worried about our bet right now. Gabe Vincent didn't suit up tonight. Hopefully he suits up in game 6 if it gets there in Miami. But I trust Miami to close it out in 6.
Let's close this one out on. Let's say the Celtics take care of business at home, force a game 6. Do you believe that the Celtics open up as a favorite for game 6 in Miami?
Yeah,
wins?
I think they would shift the power ratings back to how they had it, the first 3 games, or the first 3 games that the Heat won. it would be like the Heat, or not the Heat, the Celtics, like -5 or -6, depending how this game finishes out going into Miami. Because you just got to give them respect, or you got to give the Heat respect for what they've done. But also, you just got to keep in mind how the series was power rated going into it.
Right.
Wasn't the Celtics? They were like minus like 600 or -700 on the money line going
Yeah.
into the
To win
series.
the
So
series, minus
yeah,
650. Yep.
so when you consider that, I do agree with that notion that you just pointed out that they'd probably go back to being favorites in Miami. They're up 32-18 with a minute 30. We'll try and get out of here alongside with the first quarter. Maybe not. We'll maybe roll a little into the second quarter. But we're about to shift gears, Ben, if you're okay with that.
Let's do
As
it.
Miami just made it 20-32 for those of you guys that are watching. It's
Duncan
the
Robinson.
NFL. It's the NFL. The NFL this year. We had the draft. Ben, you've already, talked about the Bills, talked about the Texans, what they've done a little bit. NFL OTAs this week, people reported we have Aaron Rodgers pictured here, showing up here with the Jets. Anything that you're looking at with OTAs, or are you just waiting for the summer to get here and the real camps to get here?
Yeah, for sure. That's what I'm waiting for, especially because Stephon Diggs hasn't reported to OTAs for the Bills.
Do you read
But
into stuff like that
no,
as a
not
fan?
really. Not. I mean, it's May, bro. You know what I mean? Like, come on. I mean, we know what we're going to get from some of those guys. Aaron Rodgers, obviously veteran, probably wouldn't have been at OTAs if he was still a Packer. Like he wasn't at OTAs last year, the year before. You know what I mean? But he's with a new team, got to build rapport. Roland, is this just for practice, or do we have a certified jersey number change for Aaron Rodgers?
Shoot, that's a good question. I did notice that when I was watching some ESPN earlier, and I saw him with that red jersey on, sporting the number 8. I think it might be a permanent move. Quite frankly, I don't want to talk about Aaron Rodgers too much, just because it's not my favorite person to talk about. No offense, but other stuff around the league. I saw the teams, and this is just OTA stuff, but you talk about the physicality in practices. Supposedly the Cowboys last year, they lost a couple practices because of physicality. I saw the New England Patriots, they lost 2 practices this year. So just stuff like that to look out for, and just injuries. Hopefully nobody gets hurt. Tariq Woolen, I don't know if you read that in the news. That's probably some big
I
news.
didn't.
He got hurt walking around the practice field, just walking. He tweaked his knee, and he already went in to have surgery. He conducted a surgery in Houston, and I think they expect him to be ready, is what I read. But just stuff like that you got to look out for as a fan. Getting ready for fantasy football and just paying attention to your team. Ben, just real quick, don't want to get you too riled up here because it is only OTAs.
Don't get me
But
riled up.
Josh Allen came out and said that he's so desperately wants to win that ring. Do you feel the pressure as a Bills fan or no?
I think the pressure is definitely on. I think they're on the hot seat. Not only Josh Allen, but I think Sean McDermott as well. I mean, not that the Bills are you gonna fire him, but he can be labeled as that coach who really can't win that big one and get over that hill. So yeah, I do think that the Buffalo Bills are on the hot seat, and I mean, it's not a good year to be on the hot seat, man, because the AFC got a lot better, especially that division. We know that Week 1 they opened up against Aaron Rodgers and the Jets in New York at MetLife. So definitely hot seat year for the Bills. I mean, they needed defense so drastically and desperately, and then we see them go and take a tight end in the first round when they already had Dawson Knox on a major deal. So it looks like they're really setting up, that offense to have no excuses. It's just going to come down to that running back position. We've seen them bring in, running back Harris from the Patriots. We know that Cook, it's going to be his second year. Singletary's now with the Texans, but the Buffalo Bills are on the hot seat this year, man, 100%. Josh Allen, Sean McDermott, everybody's on the hot seat.
Yeah, Josh Allen's on the hot seat for my fantasy football keeper league. I don't know if I want to keep him. So I'm still thinking about that. I got him, I think, in the 4th round or the 3rd round. I think I might have spent big on him, but I don't know if I want to keep him. Guys, if I should keep Josh Allen, let me know. He's on my personal hot seat, although he did lead me to fantasy football glory. I just got to throw that out there. But,
he was a good fantasy football quarterback.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's just in wins and losses in real NFL. They got caught up by the Bengals.
Yeah, they got to answer some questions for sure. But speaking of his desperation to win a Super Bowl title, We got them as Super Bowl favorites. Not so much Super Bowl favorites as they were last year. I think they were a little bit higher up. I think they might have been the odds on, or they might have been second favorite
They
to
were
win the
odds
Super
on
Bowl
last
last
year.
year. This year, they have the third best odds in terms of DraftKings Super Bowl odds. The first five, or I'll read the first six teams because the sixth team is important to all of us here. It's the Kansas City Chiefs at plus 600, leading the way as the odds on favorite, followed by the team that they beat, the Philadelphia Eagles, at plus 650. Both teams locked and reloaded from last year. Don't have any argument there. Then come the Bills at plus 900, the 49ers plus 1,000, Bengals plus 1,200, and the Cowboys round out the top six at plus 1,400. And I just got to mention the guy pictured here, his team, plus 1,800 to win the Super Bowl.
Roland, you gave us the top six. You mind rattling off the last of the top 10, the last four teams, just so we
Well,
can
yeah. I said number 7 was the Jets plus 1,800, Ravens plus 2,000 at number 8, and the last two in the top 10 are the Dolphins at plus 2,200. And can you guess the 10th team?
The Vikings.
It's the Detroit Lions plus
Wow.
2,200.
Wow.
Campbell's Lions getting some love with Jared Goff and the boys coming back for another year. They added another running back, or because they threw out, or they didn't throw out, but they traded Swift, who they never really liked, and then they drafted
the running back from
Gibbs.
Alabama.
Yeah.
They did also lose Jamal Williams.
Yeah, and they lost Jamal Williams,
who was their touchdown machine. So I mean, running back is one of the easiest positions to fill in the NFL. So, and they obviously, reached. I would say most would say that they reached going running back at pick number 12, where they did. But wow, that's surprising. The Lions with the 10th best odds. Interesting not to see the Vikings in there.
Yeah. Are you okay with the Chiefs at plus 600 as the favorites?
They got to be the favorites. I mean, at this point, like you said, last year the Bills were the favorite and they had all the hype. And yes, they looked good. They took care of the Chiefs in the regular season. But, when it comes down to it, Mahomes is just going to have to be the favorite.
Yeah.
That's the way it's going to have to be from here on out, bro.
Yeah, no, it has to be that way, especially when you saw what he did last year.
At those odds, though, I mean, I think you said the Bills were plus 700?
Plus 900.
900. I wouldn't mind taking the Bills. And I say that you got to make Mahomes a favorite, and here I am saying I'm going to take two AFC teams. Yeah. Plus 900 on the Bills and plus 1,200 on the Bengals.
See, the way that I look at this is, to me, the better teams are clearly in the AFC.
Yeah.
Clearly. The AFC is better than the NFC, in my opinion. Last year, I did make a play. A little bit before the playoffs, I ended up taking the Chiefs at some pretty decent odds that ended up cashing for me, but it was only after the season played out a little bit. I didn't make a preseason bet on the AFC because of how loaded they are. I think if you're going to make a play, it's got to be in the NFC, and I need to look into it a little bit more. We're going to do our divisional previews, but I'm looking at the Cowboys at plus 1,400. That's not terrible. I got to look at the roster. I got to see how everything looks and how everything's going to shake out for the final 53 on game day. But plus 1,400 in the NFC, in which I view as being anybody's ball game.
What did you say was the Eagles' price? You were about to mention the Eagles?
Eagles plus 650.
Do we see – I just feel like the Eagles have the easiest road to the Super Bowl. Out of it. And I mean, Roland, they had an easy road last year, and they were stacked last year, and then they go and they add DeAndre Swift, and then they go and add Carter, the defensive lineman from Georgia, and then they go and add Dean, the other outside linebacker from Georgia. To me, the rich got richer. Surprised. Will the Eagles have the second best odds behind the Chiefs?
Yep, they're just 50 basis points behind them, plus 650 to plus 600.
I don't see anybody out of the NFC, man. Besides, like they're just gonna be too physical for any team. And I see where you're coming at with the Cowboys, because the Cowboys or the Niners would probably have the best chance.
Yeah, it's like who's gonna give the Eagles a run for their money, pretty much. Is
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. But the Cowboys would have to. They would have already seen the Eagles 3 times if they're going to get by them in the playoffs as well, because they're going to play twice in the regular season. Both teams are probably going to make the playoffs. It might just be safe to just, throw that little sprinkle on the Eagles and let it play out.
Let it play out. Yeah, I'm going to see what happens here. Like I said, we're going to do our our divisional previews. We'll break the teams down division by division. But the last thing on the NFL here, if I can find it, if not, I'll move on. Offensive Rookie of the Year, Ben. Bijan Robinson, plus 250. Do you think
Wow.
it's him or nobody else? Are you taking a little bit of Bryce Young at plus 500, Richardson at plus 600, Stroud 750?
Roland, I don't think that anybody should be betting Bijan if it's plus 250. They should probably do what you did with the Chiefs last year. Wait till midseason when things aren't going the greatest. Maybe he doesn't have a 100-yard game week 1 and week 2, and then you get a way better price. But 250 for a running back when you had 3 quarterbacks go top 5? No. And I mean, I love the Longhorns. I love Bijan, but I'm not betting 250 on a running back with 3 quarterbacks out there that we know are going to be starting for their teams. Pass on the plus 250.
Yeah, so plus 250 is tough for me. I wouldn't take it. It's going to be one of the quarterbacks for me. The receivers here might have a chance, but there's just too many receivers for me to choose from and decipher from.
I will say I don't know what the odds are for Niagba or the Seattle receiver. Yeah, because
plus 800. He's the highest rated position player other than Robinson.
Okay, because we know what the Seahawks like to do. Geno likes to sling it around. The other thing that we got to take into account is Tyler Lockett misses games every single season. At least 3 to 5 games. So if Niagba is going to be the third receiver, and then when Lockett goes out, he's going to be the second, I think he's got a decent shot as well. I'd rather bet him at plus 800 than Bijan at plus 250.
Yeah, I think he has a real chance. I like that plus 800. Trying to look down the line, see if there's anybody there. Will Levis plus 2,500. He's going to be the quarterback. Who drafted him? Tennessee. Jahmyr Gibbs plus 900.
I would rather play Levis just because we saw Tannehill is still going to be there, but we saw what they got out of that quarterback from Liberty last year, that they already drafted Levis and pretty much gave up on the kid. So, I wouldn't mind Levis at that price. He might not be the day one starter, but you know that he's going to start at some point. So, I like Levis. I like Jackson. I'm not going to attempt to say the second part of his name. And give me C.J. Stroud and the Texans.
Yeah, I like C.J. Stroud too, plus 750. Trying to look down the line. I didn't take him at the crazy odds, but, that show that we watched, Follow the Money, they were talking about Pierce at like plus 10,000 or something before the season, the running back for the Texans. And
last year.
Yeah, and he ended up having a great start to the year, was the favorite at one point, but then he got hurt and ended up losing out on the Rookie of the Year. So also got to look at some dart throws, but I haven't done enough research to throw a dart on anybody that's not.
I know, like some people were throwing darts on Pacheco last season also.
Yeah, Pacheco.
He got his start later on in the season, maybe week 6, week 7, but he became the Chiefs' #1 guy. So I think that's what you kind of got to look for. This might be the year of the quarterback, though, Roland. Like I said, 3 guys in the top 5, and they're all on teams that needed a quarterback really, really bad, and are going to rely on that quarterback really, really bad. Again, with Richardson being in the AFC South and C.J. Stroud being in the AFC South,
is Stroud going to beat out Davis Mills?
100%. C.J. Stroud's going to start. And then even on the other side, you got the kid from Alabama over there with the Panthers in that division that's straight up for grabs.
Yeah.
You got Derek Carr as a favorite to win that division. So I think the quarterback is going to win it this year. But I can't believe that price. Bro, if Bijan is plus 250, imagine where he's going to be going in fantasy football drafts.
Oh, round 1.
He's going to be going above Nick Chubb, bro. Watch.
Well, shoot. Just a little fantasy thing. I don't think they're bringing back Kareem Hunt, right? Or this is going to be the first.
He still hasn't signed with anybody, to my knowledge.
Yeah, so I think this might be the first season that we see Nick Chubb full on. I'm not going to say it, but you know what I mean. Let's go to the next one. This is the last topic. Then I'll let you guys out of here. For those of you guys that have been here with us the whole time, I really do appreciate it. Ben, I wish Justin was on here, because Justin would tell us why do we even have this up here, because they haven't signed yet.
That's why we don't have Justin on here, though, Roland, so we can talk about this without negative vibes.
Are you excited about this? The post came out. They both posted it on their IG. This is the first fight poster that we're seeing. Do you buy it? Premier Boxing
Yeah,
Champions.
I buy it. I think that Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia set the tone. I think that we were all saying the same shit about Garcia and Tank because, like this fight, we were waiting for it to happen. Both guys were talking about, yeah, we want it to happen, and it never happened. That one started, and I think the dominoes are going to start to fall. Listen, this fight just happened last month, and already here in July, we got the fight that we've all been waiting for. Spence and Crawford. They both posted it. This is the closest, and I'm going to say that we're there. But this is the closest that we've been to the fight actually being made. Like Justin wants to deliver the pens himself and have both of the guys sign the damn contracts. They're both posted on Instagram. I think there's kind of no going back from there, right?
Yeah. I mean,
once you do that, you posted Showtime pay-per-view, you posted T-Mobile Arena, you posted the date. We know that they are going to be competing with UFC that Saturday. We got Justin Gaethje and Dustin Poirier for the BMF belt. That UFC card is stacked, but it is in Salt Lake City. So we got Spence and Crawford taking over the T-Mobile Arena. They'll be the only show in Las Vegas that weekend. Bro, my birthday's July 28th. This is going down July 29th. So it's going to be a movie, bro. July 29th. My calendar's marked. There's an X. It's circled, everything. I'm on the opposite side of the Justin vibes. It's happening, baby.
I really do hope it happens because to me, and I'm going to throw it back to you and ask you a question after it, but to me, this is like one of the last, like, in my opinion, like mythical fights to make because in my opinion, both of these guys, for what it's worth, to me, they're up there in terms of pound for pound. Bud Crawford and Earl Spence, respectively. Yeah. The trajectory that Spence was on before his car crash, and then for him to be able to come back and continue that, and Bud Crawford, I mean, he's, the best of the best when it comes to his craft. So I'm very excited for this fight. And the question that I was going to ask you, Ben, is this one of the most exciting fights that had to be made to date that you were waiting for?
If you know boxing. Like
I was
talking to a buddy, when I was golfing, and he's a casual MMA watcher. He knows the big names, really doesn't watch boxing. I said, damn, bro, you see they got that Spence and Crawford card. It's finally signed. He's like, who's that? So they're not household names yet. But if you know boxing, and you don't even have to like really know.
No, because I don't even really know boxing. And I know that these are.
They're not Canelo, you know what I mean? But if you know skill, like this is one where you invite your buddies over and say, hey, there's a fight tonight. You all want to come watch it? Because you're not going to let them down inviting them over to this fight. Like you said, it's a fight that we've been waiting for. You were in the group chat the other day asking who's the A side on this. And it's very debatable. Justin said that Spence is the A side. I said Crawford's the A side. It's debatable. And I think that that's what we want in fights. It's kind of like that Tank and Ryan Garcia, bro. You had the Tank fans, you had the Garcia fans. Tank was the A side just off of pure boxing, but if you talk about fan base, Ryan Garcia might have had more fans than Tank Davis.
Yeah.
So with this fight, I believe it's split down the middle. I will have Crawford winning this fight. As far as me, I do think that he's the A side. I think that he's a higher pound for pound guy. So very excited for this fight. And thank God it's happening because one of these guys might become a superstar July 29th.
Especially because they both have zeros behind their names, right?
Yeah.
Right. So, man. Oh, we got a comment here from Justin. We'll leave on some of this because I don't have much to say other than I am excited for this to finally take place, and I am excited also to see how the lines open up because this is not official. I don't think there's any lines out there, but I am curious to see how this is lined up by Vegas because. Like Ben and I have been saying, these guys are pretty evenly matched, although Ben does lean towards Crawford when it comes to that. Justin's comment, Crawford was fighting free on ESPN. Spence has been on pay-per-view. Spence is the A side.
How many people were buying that pay-per-view? Because I know if he was fighting on ESPN, everybody was tuned in, baby. That's part of the plan. You're an ESPN fighter. It's free. You're going to be on the main network. Show me those pay-per-view numbers for Spence, Justin. I don't think that he breaks 200,000, bro, to be honest with you. So I'm going to disagree there.
All right. Well, next time that we're on, Justin will have the numbers. He'll have the pay-per-view.
I doubt he brings the numbers because they're going to be low. They're going to be low.
That's true, though. I think Spence fought at AT&T, or am I tripping?
You probably tripping.
I don't know, but I do agree with. I think Justin's right. He did sell out a stadium, but guys, that's all that we have for tonight. It's been an eventful night. It looks like Ben's favorite role player. Oh no, never mind. He's okay. I was gonna say Martin looked like he took a bad
Hey,
spill. He's
Caleb
gonna be
Martin,
hurt.
man, he's about to catch a
Um,
bag.
he's here at the free throw line trying to make it a. Let's see if he's got 2 or just 1. He's trying to make it a 11-point game. Hit the first free throw, 37-49. We're gonna leave off here. Ben, any parting shots?
No, just glad that we got this, live podcast in. I know that we did a little MMA. They've booked some fights earlier today, so Justin and I did some MMA minutes, put them out there for y'all. But man, listen, the NBA is winding down. We're here talking about NFL OTAs. Baseball's going to be the only show in town as far as the main sports. We even got EPL winding down in the soccer realm. Champions League, the final set for June. So, boys, it's going to be a lot of MMA, a lot of boxing this summer. We'll try and sprinkle in our Astros and get those division breakdowns in, but this is kind of that part of the year where things start slowing down.
Oh, and we might be doing a little, another little merch drop sometime in the summer, hopefully. Some stuff coming your way.
Soon.
Well, we're kicking the summer off, still wearing a hoodie, but it is going to be that summer weather. Ben's wearing that cap. I'm wearing a cap. We want to do something like that, but I'm going to leave it on that. Ben, thank you for coming tonight and bringing it as always. And that's it.
Peace.